Master and servant each kept one half as a receipt until the termination date. So you make a contract, rip it in half, you take half, I take half. So we're now indentured. Isn't that interesting? Almost like a type of marriage. Typically, indentured servant contracts were for 4 to 7 years. At the completion of the contract period, the indentured party received pay, clothing, livestock, land, farming, tools, and a weapon. So after the indentured servant was free, they gave him stuff to support his freedom. In particular, money, clothing, livestock, land, farming tools, and a weapon. A slave's bonded status, but a slave, their bonded status was for life, his and all future offspring. So that means you're a slave, and all of your children and your children's children, your children's children's children are going to be slaves. Okay. When black slaves were emancipated in the 1860s, they were set free, poor, landless, ignorant, weaponless, homeless, and naked. The various levels of government expressed no appreciation for the contributions of black people in building the nation, nor did they issue an apology for what they had done to blacks. So by now, we should all understand that if you're in America and you have freedom, but you ain't got nothing, are you really free? I mean, are you really free if you ain't got nothing? I mean, think about it. If you have a job and you need the money, you could quit your job anytime you want. You're free to quit, but are you really free to quit? No. If you don't know what to do or have the money to do it, you're not really free. So that's an illusion of freedom. I tell you, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but any options that you may have, I make sure that you don't have those options because you're not prepared to exercise them anyway. So this is why black education is better than white education thrust on black people, because that second type of education is not built on freedom. It's built on connecting you to a system that's going to decide how free you're going to be. I think black education should be built on saying, how do you get out of here if you have to? What do you do if they cut the DEI program at your job and decide to fire all the black people? What do you do if there's no opportunities out here? What if you do? What do you do if you need financial security? What do you do if you want a raise? Do you wait for your boss to decide to give you a raise? Do you create a raise for yourself? People who understand wealth know how to do these things. So this is why understanding wealth is incredibly important. So here's what Dr. Anderson also says. In the next section, he says, slaves marketed on easy terms. African slaves were typically purchased at auction houses in the slave markets of major urban ports, such as the District of Columbia, Charleston, New Orleans, Hampton, and Savannah. For those who rarely left the rural areas of the country, slave wagons traveled the back roads, hawking their slave wares at bargain prices. But unlike large auction houses, they did not guarantee their goods, quote unquote goods. For those who did not have access to an auction house or roving slave wagons, there was always the mail order route. So you could order black people by mail, okay? An interested slave buyer could order by mail, specifying the size, sex, and even the tribe of the African slave he wished to purchase. Who knew that? Give me a yes if you're like me and your public school never taught you this. Did y'all know you could order slaves by mail? Like we were like the original mail order Negroes? Did anybody know this? I did not. I never heard this before. This is crazy. So they could literally order slaves by mail, specify the size of the slave, the sex of the slave, and the tribe. That's insane. Um, Many mail order houses allowed slaves to be bought for a small down payment, like a car, and a reasonable payment terms of 3, 6, or 9 or 12 months. Needless to say, slaves that were damaged after purchase could not be returned to the auction house, slave wagons, mail order centers for monies back. So if you got your slave and the slave got damaged, whatever that means, you could not return them and get your money back.